She was just a kid, walking with confidence most her age didn't have. But confidence, in the wrong eyes, can look like defiance. When a police officer stopped her, it wasn't curiosity. It was mockery. He laughed at her, dismissing every word she spoke, certain she was making it all up. But what he didn't know was that the truth standing behind her was far bigger, far more powerful than he could ever imagine. And when it arrived, it would silence everyone. The only question is, will you believe her before he does? It started as just another Saturday afternoon. Maya, a 15-year-old girl with a quiet strength about her, was on her way back from basketball practice. She carried her worn-out backpack, the same one her mom had given her years ago, and hummed softly to herself. To most people, she was just another teenager in the crowd, focused on school, friends, and the small dreams that filled her days. But Maya was different. Raised by a single mother who served overseas in the Special Forces, she had grown up with stories of resilience, discipline, and courage. Her mom was her hero, the kind of woman who taught her that respect was earned, not demanded. Still, few in their neighborhood believed those stories. To outsiders, they sounded too grand, too impossible for a girl like Maya. That afternoon, Maya's confidence caught the wrong kind of attention. A police cruiser slowed beside her, its presence heavy and sharp, breaking the rhythm of her walk. At first she thought nothing of it. Cops passed by all the time. But this time, the window rolled down, and a voice dripping with mockery called out. The moment seemed ordinary, even forgettable. Yet beneath it was a spark, an encounter that would soon ignite into something far bigger. What started as a laugh at a young girl's words was about to expose a truth that no one in that parking lot was prepared to face. The laughter cut through the air like a blade. Maya froze, gripping the strap of her backpack tighter, her cheeks burning as the officer leaned out of his cruiser. "So what's in the bag, huh? Homework? Or maybe top-secret missions?" His voice dripped with sarcasm, each word laced with a cruel kind of amusement. He didn't see her as a teenager walking home from practice. He saw her as a target, someone to belittle. Maya's heart pounded. She could feel the stares of bystanders gathering nearby, curious to see what the commotion was about. She tried to explain calmly, her voice steady but quiet. "My mom's in the Special Forces. She's stationed overseas." That only made him laugh harder. "Special Forces?" he repeated, mocking every syllable. "Kid, the only mission your mom's on is probably finding a new job at the diner." His words stung, not just because of the lie, but because he said them loud enough for everyone to hear. The crowd chuckled nervously, some shaking their heads as if Maya's claim was ridiculous. Inside, her stomach twisted. She wanted to yell, to scream that her mother had risked her life in combat, had faced dangers this officer couldn't even imagine. But she knew better. Every warning her mom had ever given her about encounters like this echoed in her head. Stay calm. Don't argue. Don't give them a reason. The officer stepped out of the cruiser now, boots striking the pavement. With heavy intent, he circled her slowly like a predator enjoying the moment before the kill. "Go on," he taunted. "Tell us more about this superhero mom of yours. Maybe she's flying in right now?" The onlookers laughed again. Maya's throat tightened. She could feel her eyes sting, but she refused to let the tears fall. Not here. Not in front of him. Then, just as the officer leaned in close, smirking, ready to humiliate her further, something shifted. A silence spread through the small crowd. People stopped whispering. Their laughter died out. The officer noticed it too. His grin faltered as he turned his head. Maya didn't need to look. She knew that silence. She had dreamed of this moment countless times. Her mother's presence carried weight long before her boots hit the ground. And there she was. Dressed, not in uniform but in plain clothes, yet unmistakable. Her stance was firm, her eyes sharp. A woman who had walked battlefields and led soldiers into danger, now stood just feet away, facing a man who thought mocking a child made him powerful. The officer straightened his posture, suddenly aware of the shift. "And who might you be?" he asked, his voice losing the edge of arrogance it carried seconds ago. Maya didn't answer. She didn't need to. The look on her mother's face said everything, but the real confrontation had only just begun. The officer's smirk returned, as he squared his shoulders, refusing to back down. "So you're the mom," he said, his tone still dripping with doubt. "Your kid's been telling tall tales about you being some kind of hero." Maya's mother didn't flinch. She stepped closer, her presence commanding without a word. "She doesn't tell tall tales," she said evenly, her voice low but steady. "She tells the truth." The crowd shifted uneasily, phones now raised, recording every second. The officer's jaw tightened. He hadn't expected this. He was used to his laughter being the final word, his authority unquestioned. But here was a woman whose calm gaze cut deeper than any shout. Still, instead of retreating, he doubled down. "Oh yeah? And what proof do you have? Anybody can say they've served." He stepped closer, his voice rising. "Until I see it, you're just another—" He stopped. Because in one swift motion, Maya's mom reached into her bag and placed a single item on the hood of his cruiser. A worn, battered ID, her military credentials, the seal unmistakable. The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time, the officer's confidence cracked. His face flushed as whispers rippled through the crowd. The laughter that had once mocked Maya now turned into sharp gasps, followed by stunned silence. Maya looked up at her mother, her chest swelling with pride. But beneath the pride was something else. A heavy truth. It shouldn't take credentials or proof or combat scars for her words to be believed. The officer swallowed hard, shifting uncomfortably under the eyes of the crowd, his authority unraveling with every second. And in that moment, the balance of power shifted. Not because the system changed, but because the truth stood undeniable, right in front of him. But what happened next? No one in that parking lot would ever forget. The officer didn't have much left to say. His authority, once so loud, had crumbled in the silence of that moment. People who had laughed at Maya just minutes earlier now avoided her eyes, ashamed of their own disbelief. The crowd slowly dispersed, but the weight of what had happened hung heavy in the air. Maya's mother placed a steady hand on her daughter's shoulder, guiding her away from the flashing lights and whispers. For Maya, it wasn't just about winning that moment. It was about something deeper. She had spoken the truth from the very beginning, yet no one had believed her until proof was forced onto the table. That pain, of not being trusted, of being dismissed because of who she was, cut deeper than the officer's mocking laughter ever could. That night, as Maya replayed the encounter in her mind, she realized this wasn't just her story. It was the story of so many others, kids, parents, whole families, whose words are doubted, whose experiences are mocked, simply because of the color of their skin. Her mother had always told her, strength isn't just about standing tall. It's about standing tall when the world tries to cut you down. And now, Maya understood what that meant in a way she never had before. This moment would not break her. It would become her fuel. A reminder that silence can be shattered, that truth cannot be mocked away, and that dignity is worth fighting for, even when the world refuses to see it. But the question remains, how many more voices will have to fight, just to be believed? How many more stories like Maya's will it take before the world finally listens?